Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel of crafting, crocheting and knitting. My name is Nikki and welcome to day 3 of Vlogmas. Yesterday we finished our Mary from the nativity, which means next on our list is Joseph. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to finish the bottom of the tunic in a way that will leave the stitch shape in place. So I've got my loop still here. I'm just going to tuck it a little bit smaller, but being careful not to lose it. And then I've got my end that I'm going to thread a darning needle onto. So ultimately what we want is for this loop to lay flat over this first loop. So we've got where our last stitch is, the first loop, the second loop. So first loop, second loop. So, and we want this to lay over the first loop. So I'm actually going to go up under the back loop of the first loop, and I'm going to go into my loop as well. So that's going to start to lay it flat. So we're going to pull it a little bit tighter still. Okay, so now it's beginning to lay in position, and then we're going to follow the second loop, or what was the second loop, with our yarn. So for that, we've got, there's our second loop. We're actually going to go underneath the third loop because that is where the arch of the second loop is going. Then we're going to come back down the front. So we're going to go back into our loop, back also into the front loop of the first loop that we originally went into. So what we've done is we've mimicked, there's our like last loop on the hook, there's where we've sewn over the second loop, and there's the third loop. So now I'm just going to pull all of those ever so slightly tighter. So first need to get our original loop tighter and then carry that through. I don't want to pull it too tight because I want it to basically match the loops that were already, stitches that were already visible. So I've snugged that all up, and you can see how all of these V stitches are going all the way around, and you can barely see. And the last thing I'm going to do is, from my angle, so this is what I'm looking at, I'm just going to put this back underneath our loop so that this yarn is at the back instead, or on the inside instead. So now if I hold that up to you, you can see where I've stitched it, but it's actually really well hidden. And then from the side, you've got this really nice stitch patterning. So yeah, that's how I have been sewing off any ends that are going to be visible. So there we have our completed Joseph. I skipped on recording all the parts where I was weaving in the ends. I figured you didn't need to see that. There was a lot of ends with this character to get woven in. I also added this little headdress detail that was in the pattern, and it's got a little just tied off there, so that is in place, and also is probably helping the headdress stay on the figure, so that's helpful. And yeah, just tied it in all of the ends and finished Joseph. The one thing that I remembered that I didn't talk to you about in yesterday's vlog is the how to stabilise the base. So Mary, who is right here, there we go, Mary has quite a wide dress, and so actually her baseline is a little bit more stable. I was worried about Mary, but actually when I stood her up on the desk before I put the base in, I was like, okay, no, actually that's pretty stable, so I left her. But Joseph and the other male characters have thinner schmucks or tunics or whatever you want to call them, and so I was worried about this base plate being sufficiently sturdy. And there was a couple of things that I thought about doing. So the pattern actually talks about cutting out a circle of cardboard and sticking that to the inside of the base to provide some extra weight. So I assume you'd need like proper thick cardboard and not just some craft card for that. However, I'm not okay with that for a couple of reasons. One, I don't actually think it's going to make it that much sturdier than the weight of the yarn itself, and two, that would mean I can't put it through the washing machine. And so even though I hope that I will not need to put these through the washing machine very frequently, that is something I'm bearing in mind because we do have children around, family friends who will potentially want to play with these and maybe even stick them in their mouths and chew them, and they will need washing. So yes, that is a concern. That sort of unfortunately rules out one of the other ideas I had, which I thought, well, maybe what if I stuck like an old penny in the bottom of this, because that penny would be much heavier than a piece of cardboard and would weigh it down better, but it wouldn't go through the wash very easily. Same thing really with almost everything else I thought of. Like I thought about maybe sand or rice. When sand, if it goes through the wash, is just going to eke its way out, it's not going to stay put, so that would be really grim and potentially destroy my washing machine. And rice, again, like soaking it effectively, cooking it in hot washing machine water is not going to be ideal. I suppose it wouldn't cook at like 30 or 40 degrees, but still, I don't want to find out what happens to rice when I soak it in one of these creations and it potentially becomes mush or molds or just no. So all of those became a bit of an issue because as I was thinking about it, there wasn't an easy way for me to establish a density profile across the figure whereby there was something denser at the bottom that would keep it upright. Now actually, as I've stood Joseph up, he does stand up perfectly well. So the only thing I've thought of is if any of my characters aren't standing up very well, whether I could manufacture some sort of pegboard. So you know, like the blocking boards that you can get to stick your granny squares on, where they have long dowels in the corners, or even just normal like wooden dowel. I've got some right here actually, just as I'm thinking about it. I've got this in my spinning bag. But if maybe I can't do it with a dowel this thick because I've obviously sewn in the bottom. I would have to probably take the base off and put something in with an actual like crochet hole or something to actually be able to put this through. But I thought, okay, well, is there something like that where I can have some sort of dowel or some sort of peg that I can then just slot these characters onto, and I can position the pegs into like a wooden board, and that wooden board would then like form the base of my nativity. And I thought that would be a bit clunky, but it was the solution I thought was best considering I want to be able to put these through the washing machine. I don't think it's going to be necessary though. Actually, like Joseph stands up okay, so I think we're probably fine. I just need to keep an eye on it because there's obviously other characters and creatures involved as time goes on, and we'll just have to see how well all of them stand up. So hopefully well. For now, I'm going to leave Vlogmas Day 3 there. Have an excellent rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 4.